since the last time that I actually did an after review, many beer reviews, and I haven't been able to actually do this, but it's seemingly the next season that I do for beer reviews, starting on beer review number 51, which will probably be 2 weeks after I release beer review number 50. We'll have a new format, new topics to discuss, and try to go into the actual beer itself and find out what is going to appeal to those people that are around me. So as I look at other people's beer reviews, I see that they're actually doing really well, and those people that have anywhere from 1,000 to 10,000 subscribers, they are appealing to the people around them and finding a way to be entertaining to those. So, but with this after review, a couple things on my mind is simply that, with this beer review passion, beer review hobby, I'm finding out that we need to have focus on things that we need to actually, go after. So recently I spent the last 15 minutes, and instead of being in bed trying to figure out how to get my MacBook Pro camera to come back to life, and it simply was by opening up the terminal and putting a command in there in order to get the actual camera to start working. It's, as you can tell, it's already working, and so far it's going to be doing well. But one thing that I've noticed is that I need to talk about the things that I see around me and the reflections that I have. So far, I recently got a new job, and the job is providing fulfillment that I thought that I would never actually fulfill again, but it has, and it's a good job. I'm not going to put any type of titles out there, what I'm doing at the moment, because just in case I get passioned into a debate and I decide to say something stupid, I don't want that job to have to fire me based on a social media response. So, but just recently quit working at a grocery food chain, and I really enjoyed that place. I really enjoyed creating the stuff that they actually had to offer to their customers, but it wasn't just doing any justice for my family. So, and that's what I'm going to be focusing on. I'm going to be focusing on my family and focusing on those things that I need to actually push forward and actually do. And simply, it's through this vlog is going to be describing what those things are. I noticed a lot of people I've seen around myself, and including myself, sometimes we go through roller coasters in life where we go up and we feel really good, and then we go down, we feel really bad. And simply, I feel as a man, I have a responsibility to my family, the responsibility to provide for them to the best of my ability, and responsibility to do something that is just above and beyond what it is. So within that responsibility, it may require me working 60-hour weeks for the next 10 to 20 years of my life in order to provide the upbringing that my kids deserve. I also noticed that if we want to set our kids on the right path, we need to provide a good example for them. And if we go to bed angry against our spouse, or we go to bed angry against our kids, then the thing is that they will wake up angry, and they will be pushed towards being angry towards those people the next day. So that reflection on that is simply this, is that if we go to bed angry with our spouse and one of us is sleeping on the couch and another one of us is sleeping on the bed, then that's not going to actually serve them and actually do any type of purpose for them. So lately, I've been also watching many different people that are drastically more intelligent than me, and trying to see what their worldviews are. So I've been bouncing back and forth from liberal to conservative to a more central view. And with that bouncing, I'm finding out that I myself claim to be a centrist. I don't care what you claim to be. I don't care what you claim that your freedoms are, but I pray that you will go after them and actually find your only freedom within our Constitution in the United States. So if you want to smoke marijuana, good. I don't think you should be criminalized for it. If you want to defend yourself, good. I don't think you should be criminalized for using a weapon of any sort that's within legal means in order to do so, as long as you need to defend yourself. But I'm not going to cause somebody to say, hey, I identify as this. I'm not going to be the one that goes over and says, you can't do that. Okay. The problem comes up whenever, rules come up and laws come up to where they actually make me say that I'm wrong or I'm going to be criminally prosecuted when I didn't know in the first place that that person identified or believed such thing to begin with. So it has to be some type of middle ground. And if someone believes a certain way and it's going to cause problems down the road because I do not believe that way, then it's a responsibility of those people that I either work for or those people that I either am around to tell me that they believe such ways, and then I'll respect that they have that belief. Do I believe it? No. Will I believe it? No. I will believe it based on the facts that are presented to me. So simply, this after review is just a bunch of rambling with reflections on life. I need to pursue my family and pursue my wife to set examples. And then I also need to understand that people will have a differing opinion than me. So I would say that I'm leaning towards the right, more conservative, but as a centrist, as somebody that wants people to have their own freedoms, I believe that it's okay in this country for those people to actually believe that way. So essentially, we could sit there and we would continue to look at different things, but there's no value in trying to push somebody into a belief if you're not going to actually get them to actually believe that. There's no value in trying to at all look at them and say, hey, you were going to believe what I'm going to believe, whenever your logic won't appeal to them in the first place. So recently I've been listening to Jordan Peterson's recent book, 12 Rules. I cannot even off the top of my head think of it, but it's the 12 Rules for Living Life. And he brings up some phenomenal points, and simply, I would suggest that if you have any opportunity or time to actually go and look at this book or listen to this book and go forth and just try to make a decision for yourself. So this new job, very fulfilling. Reminds me a lot of some aspects of the military, and simply, I kind of miss that. I kind of miss that type of atmosphere. Am I around a lot of people where it changes on a multiple basis? No, I'm not, but it's okay. It will be fine. And the value that I'm getting from this is going to be drastically above where I was before. If I could find a way to get back into that previous job at the same value that I experience now, I would, but it's not going to be possible. It's just not logical in a business model. And so it's just how it goes. So for this after review, just let us look at things in life and just reflect on those things and go from there instead of actually just trying to prejudge the actual situation before we know what's going on. I could try to sit there and say that I'm intelligent enough to process all the politics and the stuff that's happening in media today, but I'm not. There's too many people out there that try to actually push that on people and say, hey, you're going to do this or do that. Or you're going to believe this or believe that. And simply just not that easy. There are other great minds out there that actually are there to think for us and think, and they're going to teach us normal people how to actually think on a more strong and more foundational way. So what you're going to see after this beer review actually gets done rendering, which it looks like it's going to probably take another hour or two, you're going to see a beer review done from the Founders Brewing Company, which is the Kermadjians or whatever you want to say, Better Half from Founders Brewing Company. It's a molasses and syrup uh, with a old ale beer that's aged in those bourbon barrels, which was holding syrup in the first place, which has such, the flavor is just so dynamic, and you'll see it in the video of how that dynamic flavor influences the rating that I give to that beer. And I also stated that if you're going to follow me on YouTube, then you should also follow me on Untapped, and that the actual link for that is on my cover art on my YouTube channel. So, simply, some beers that I'm looking forward to, which is coming out in the next month. Harpoon Brewery is coming out with a beer that was a collab with the Dunkin' Donuts coffee company, and hopefully that beer turns out to be something of enjoyment for us instead of something that could actually be bad. Sometimes coffee beers just don't turn out well. So far, I've only had one beer that really was bad, and that was that Shipyard Pumpkin Head, and it just wasn't pleasant. So, if you see this video later, I ask you to share this with your friends, subscribe, and see what else you could find. I'm going to continue with the pizza videos whenever my job picks up into the point where I actually understand it. Once I understand my job, I'm going to increase the video traffic on here. But until that point, I'm going to only focus on 1 or 2 videos a week. Because not only is that a really big taxing thing on my body, but if I have to be up early in the morning and then I'm making videos till early in the morning, then it doesn't make sense to continue until I actually fully understand what I'm doing. But so we could sit there and talk a little bit more, but that's pretty much it. I will pull up the books that I'm currently trying to digest at the moment. And these books are simply based on the passions that I actually want to follow. Jordan Peterson's, it's 12 Rules for Life. There's another one, Robert Lanza's MD with Bob Berman. It's called Beyond Biocentrism. I'm looking at these at audible.com. I'm not sponsored by anybody to do so. Yep. There's some other books that I'm looking at too. But simply, we could go into it even more and try to say that we know a little bit. Right now on Kindle, I'm looking at Homebrewing, a complete guide on how to brew beer, and it's by James Houston. Recently, I read Jesus is My Bartender by Michael Mistretta. Phenomenal book. Discusses some ideas within the church that have to do with beer and alcohol and how you should process these ideas. And what was really respectful about that book right itself is that the first couple pages, it basically stated that if you're trying to be right about an argument in regards to alcohol and trying just to be right, that there's no point for you to continue the book. And just put the book down and reevaluate what you're doing. There's been some Maxwell books, Developing the Leaders Around You, Developing the Leader Within You. And these are all books that I've read within the last, year or so. Let's see. And of course, always they have updates that you need to do. Stephen Covey writes a phenomenal book called The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. I would suggest that you would be able to read that. And a lot of these books come from the actual Christian university that I attended. And simply because of that attendance, we had to read some very Christ-centered books, and there's nothing wrong with that. And I agree with it 100%. But we also had to read some of the more secular books as well in order to give us a more rounded perspective. Let's see. There's nothing really else that's in here that's piquing my attention at the moment. But if you go through Audible, you can actually find some phenomenal books that are pretty cheap if you do the Kindle Unlimited, and also the Audible, where you're able to listen to a book each month. And it's not a bad gig, and that's why Amazon is probably going to make billions of dollars and trillions of dollars every month from the. They just know what they're doing. So um, simply, it's 11:07 Pennsylvania time. It was raining to the point where our electricity went out, but as you can tell, that's not the case because I'm still connected to the internet. Um, so for our beer review number 50, I'm going to be focusing on a beer that my wife was able to get me in a craft your own pack at a local Giant store. Giant is a grocery store. If you don't know what that is, it's a grocery store on the East Coast, and it's called Pine Hopple. Hopefully by then I can be able to provide a good animation for this Pine Hopple. I didn't deem it necessary for the better half to have a good animation because simply it's a phenomenal beer to say the least. So, but Pine Hopple, I'm expecting some citrusy tropical flavors with this and tropical aromas with that. And we will hopefully get that out tomorrow night. So, besides that, I'd say besides that a lot, as you can tell. Nothing else really new in this. One of the reflections that we have and what we've noticed over the last few years, or at least I have, I know my wife has as well because of the things that she's demonstrated and things that she's talked about. But we need to become mindful of how we parent our kids. And there's books that are actually titled that exactly thing, mindful parenting. But I just want to be there for my kids so that they have a good enough example for how to be, or at least a good enough foundation for how to be better. They're always going to exceed what I have to say, and they're always going to exceed what I have to do. Down the road, they're going to be 1,000 times better parents because of the faults that I made and the things that they disagree with. And they're going to struggle. It's just how it goes. And then they're going to reach back and ask for help for the certain things, and I'm going to pray to God that I'll be there for them, but that's up to Him. So, but I want to be mindful of what my kids need and what my family needs. And right now, what my family needs is someone that's willing to spend 60 hours a week at work in order to provide them the stuff that they need. Hopefully that 60 hours a week turns into a job where it's only 40 hours a week at the same amount of money. And it will someday. But simply, that type of job will only lead whenever there's good successes at work. So I also was reflecting on some friends from high school and the ability that they have to just be amazing. I'm not going to name any of them, but they just are amazing. At first it was envy and, I envied their lives, but I realized something. I'll never be what they can be because that's not who I am. And simply, if I never reconnect with them, I understand because, they're going in great directions and they're going to go to great places and their careers are going to blossom like no other. So the focus now for me is to be a mindful parent on my kids and to look at what they need and try to also juggle the struggles in life that basically will lend to either being a good father or a bad father. With that, get a little tired. I could sit here and talk about everything that's in the news and how people put themselves out there and how they just completely destroy their credibility. But there's no point. There's no point for me to highlight that whenever there's 100 different other people that are highlighting it as well. They're being successful highlighting it, and they're getting the views that they need, and they're getting the following that they need in order to provide a income for their family. But there's no point for me to restate it. So this job that I have currently now, I hope to make it a career. This will push us into a new level. That career, then I hope to use it as a way to invest into the passion that I do have. I would love to see a brewery open under the name that I've thought would be appropriate. A brewery that would brew beer, maybe even distill liquor someday, and maybe even have a winery aspect to it. But a lot of that stuff takes action. So hopefully down the road, you'll have a video of me sitting there discussing the actions that I've taken in order to get to that location and demonstrating that I made it to that point. Or hopefully, if my kids watch this down the road, they understand that I at least made the attempt. So in the past, I've spoken for 20 plus minutes and nobody would come on, and then at the 30-minute mark, had a decent conversation about faith, decent conversation about life. Who knows? Sometimes that may happen. So, and I'm noticing that people are just blowing up on their YouTube channels, just massively increasing over a few months. But as you get more followers, it makes sense that, if you have 1 million followers, you're more likely to increase 100,000, 200,000 every month instead of 20, 30 followers every month, because you have 1 million. Those 1 million are telling people enough to where it would be spreading to that many. 1 million, 10% of 1 million is 100,000. So it's not good, but it's a lot better than what that person that only has 25 has. 10% of 25. Ooh, 2.5. Yeah. 2.5 every month until they get up to a certain point. Yeah, that's pretty difficult. So, after I closed out the beer reviews for season 1 with that pineapple beer, I plan on trying to actually make and actually catalog the actual beers that I've done. There's some really good people out there that make beer and review beer, and they're just drastically better than me. And that's a phenomenal thing. And I would suggest that you go and search for them and search for what kind of information that they have to offer, because some of them are just scientifically gifted in the area of making beer and wine. So some of them are actually gifted in the entertainment aspect as well, because they can sit there and communicate for hours on end and just make it appealing to those people that watch. So within that beer review number 49, there's one gentleman that does pretty decent, and he just appeals to the crowd and just amazing. No, he doesn't have 1 million subscribers, but he does well for himself. And it's probably a natural marketing skill that he has that I'm not actually seeing at the moment, but good for him. So, other news, they have that lottery, the Mega Millions, which is, let's see what it's at currently. The Mega Millions, my computer is loading a little slowly, so it's just how it's going to go. Mega Millions. It says it climbs to $1.6 billion. We just even say that the person gets 50% of that. That's $800 million. $800 million. What would you do with $800 million? I don't know. $800 million. You could make 800 people a millionaire. You could drastically affect 800 churches, mosques, and temples. You could drastically affect 800 different charities with $1 million each. You could start your own business drastically and still have enough money to be fine if your business tanks. But I haven't really gambled since 2005. I haven't really spent money in order to actually try to do that because I see it as a fruitless endeavor. If I'm willing to waste tons of money on stuff that my family needs, that may not be necessarily a need, then why would I want to spend $2 to $3 to $5 to $10 to $20 to $100 on the lottery every week until someone else wins it? Some people are saying that would only take only one person to win it, though, and that could be you. Well, like many people have said in the past, we are a society that where if they say 1 in 4 people will get into an accident because of texting, we'll say, nah, not me. But then whenever it says 1 in 1 millionth of a chance to win the lottery, we'll say, yes, it's me. Yes, it's me. We'll sit there and say that the odds for something so drastic are in our favor, whenever something for the odds that are so reasonable are not in our favor. So essentially, we're stuck. We're lost. Yawning here, and I apologize for those people that will see it in the future. So, but it's a vlog for a reason. You sit here and talk to a camera, and you let people know how you feel. So, I can sit there and share my deepest, darkest secrets. And if you want to hear those, comment below after this video goes, because I don't think I have the super chat yet because I don't have enough viewers, but it's okay. I can still see your chats as it's live. And if somebody comes on and it's live, then hey, that's what it'll be. So, yeah, I probably have about 2 more hours before this video is even done rendering. I use a program called Anime Studio Pro 11 on this MacBook Pro that I got back in 2014, and it takes about 3.5 to 4 hours to get a video to render. So I'm at its mercy until I decide to actually be able to afford a new computer or a faster computer. So some other struggles that we have are simply recovering from the travesty of a degree that I decided to go after. And what I mean by that is that I decided to go after a philosophy degree with the intent of becoming a military chaplain or a preacher or a priest, whatever you want to say. And a lot of people say that you won't learn a lot from the university that I went to, but you do. You learn a lot about yourself, and you learn a lot about the ideas and the concepts. I wouldn't say you learn about 10% about the ideas and concepts that are within a faith, but I would say that you learn enough to say, this is how I feel and this is how I'm going to stand. There are many choices in life where people have to stand up for what they have to do, and some of those choices are what I have to stand up for. And thus, that's why I didn't go after becoming a chaplain. That's why I didn't go after going to seminary, because some of those beliefs that I have are just too strong. Certain things within every church that should have to be reevaluated and re-looked at. But I'm not the brain to do it. So as we recover from this travesty that I call a degree for a philosophy degree, no matter if I got a 3.5 GPA or not, my family is negatively affected by the choices that I made. And simply because of those negative choices, they are very close to being affected negatively. And that's why I think this new job is going to be very beneficial. The prior job allowed me to save money by me eating at that job. I called it samples and I called it quality assurance samples, but it was essentially me surviving. And that's not a good thing. By me being able to survive at those locations and that location, in order to be able to take quality assurance samples, it allowed me to stretch the money that I did make from that location to my family and allow them to eat what they needed. Barely pay bills, get ahead in life, and simply barely survive. This new job, what brings me up about, if I stay on the path that I'm currently on, it brings me up to about 1.75 times more than what I would make at that previous job. I'm going to say 1.75 because there's not going to be every week where I'll be able to sustain what I did this past week within work hours and stuff. If I can manage to do it and figure out a way to do it where it is kosher for everyone, then I will do it. But simply, it's not feasible to burn yourself at both ends. Burn the candle at both ends, as they like to say. So, but I will attempt it because the pay and the money that's provided will allow me to take care of some of the issues that were caused by school and hopefully get my family in the right direction to where they need to be. Get in the direction of trying to get my family into a house that we own instead of renting it from somebody for 3 times the amount of money. Get my family towards a more stable condition where my kids will be left a small sum of money that will allow them to build a better foundation for their kids. Hopefully better than what I was able to give them. And it will then lend itself to being, a good choice down the road. But who knows? 6 months from now, people change. You never want to be upset at your supervisors or your bosses if they change and they decide that you're not the fit, because that's how it goes. People have to run a business, and you need to be patient with those people because maybe you are the fit or maybe you're not the fit. That's just how it goes. So this could result in a ton of anxiety, and I would say if you're dealing with such things as well, I'd say just take a deep breath. There's things out there that will allow you to survive longer than what you think. And ironically, I was listening to a podcast today, and it basically stated that, was contrasting, the statement, I don't know if I could take one more bad thing, Yeah, you can. And that's exactly what the podcast stated. The guy that was doing the podcast stated the same exact thing. And he basically contrasted multiple years down the road where, you're going to sit there and say, wow, I just came from this point, then I came to this point. And each time those points will be even harder and harder and harder. But you can take one more thing. And that's a part of resilience. Resilience, a word that I learned with the Marine Corps Suicide Prevention Program. And ironically, they sent me to become an instructor right when the time where I was depressed the most. So, but that resilience will allow you to survive longer and longer and longer. And you build it based on your worldview and based on what you have to offer at yourself. That worldview for me is Christianity. I believe that Jesus died on the cross. I believe that he did so for our sins. He covers us. And that's what my beliefs are. And you may believe either Hinduism, you may believe in Islam, you may believe nothing, you may believe anything. And I'm not going to judge you for that. I'm just saying that your worldview is what's going to make your resilience stronger. Okay. And, a lot of us Christians would like to argue that we have the ultimate truth. If I have the ultimate truth, then I'm not going to have to tell you about my ultimate truth. I'm just going to share about my life to you, and you're going to wonder why I'm able to go further, or vice versa. But anyway, if we want to do another conversation down the road, we can. So, I think at 11:30, I'm going to shut this off, and that will give us about 2.5, 3 minutes of more talk time. But I build my resilience based on what my family needs and what my kids need and what my wife needs. Um, and some wisdom has told me that my resilience may have to be stronger than some others. And that's what a father and what a husband should do. Because it's rare, but you never really hear most of the time wherever a woman marries somebody that's drastically younger than her. It happens, but it's rare. And that lends me to believe that, a man that's a little bit more mature is supposed to sit there and lend what knowledge that he has. But in all reality, there's some cases where that more mature man is on the same maturity level as his younger wife. So thus you need to work together. But if there's anxiety in that man's life, then he's probably not going to be able to lead his family. If there's issues in that man's life, he's not going to be able to direct his family, and he's going to have to juggle back and forth the goals of his wife, goals of his kids, and decide what's necessary for the family to make it better for them. Um, some men will have to um, pull back on the dream that they have in order to let their family, their wife, their kids to go forward on theirs. Others will have to push forward on their dreams and say, you need to hold back on your dreams to the wife and their kids, depending on what they have to do. And then there's going to be that third group that are going to try to not let anybody's dreams be squandered. And simply by doing so, they may cause their family to separate or family to disappear. But that's what comes in with the wisdom, There's something to say behind being able to discern what's appropriate for the time that you need. So a lot of this is a lot of rambling on and on and on, and I apologize, but that's just what's going on through my head right now. So there's this very entertaining people that are across YouTube, Facebook, and all those social media websites that just know how to captivate an audience, and people point to them and know what they're doing. I've always been awkward to the point where it almost seems like it's robotic, but not enough to where it's like, entertaining. So well, it's 11:30. I'm going to get to bed. And for this after review, we talked about many different things, and I just tooted there. I apologize. We talked about reflections. We talked about life. We talked about the things that we may have to consider down the road. And we talked about good things that are happening. I will never say what kind of job that I have because it's just not smart. But after this job is done, whether it's 20 to 30 years from now, I will say what job it is, but not now. Because there may be a time in my life where I'm being heated and passionate about something, and I may say something stupid that's not in the same realm of what the company believes. But if I get hired on there, that means that I will respect their beliefs and respect their views on certain things without offending those people that bring them their money. Because I don't have to work there. I just have to, respect what the person that hired me says. Okay. And they're not going to actually, hinder my beliefs or hinder what I believe in. They're just going to say that I have to respect others in a more, societal way. So, and I respect that, because if a business is going to go and say, hey, you need to respect this person's view on how they view themselves, that's fine. It doesn't mean that I agree with it, but I have to respect them. So, and that's all good and dandy. This is the tripod, by the way, that where I used to put my phone on so that I can do the reviews. Don't have a camera yet. If anybody watches this and they want to donate a camera, message below. I'm looking for a 4K, some type of style camera. So yeah, this new job is making me tired, but it's okay. I could start eating on camera if you'd like. But, well, you guys have a good night. And for this after review, may God bless you. And as always, do everything in moderation. See ya.